Colin, we should be able to hear you now.
Yes, I can find, that's fine. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our annual gala in aid of child refugees, victims of war and of pandemics. Many thanks to all of you donating so generously and joining us this evening. It means a hell of a lot to me and to us, I can tell you. Many thanks to our generous sponsor too, BB Energy. I'm Colin Green. This is the most important of our charity IMET2000 fundraising events of the year, and a showcase of what we do in Palestine and in Ukraine. We want it to be enjoyable and fun too. We are so grateful to all guests who have joined from Palestine and those who have agreed to be interviewed for their interesting lives, and to our loyal patron, Mark Thomas, and his friends, Jem Brister and Mark Steele. Our compere and host for the evening is Charles Phillips, who will now take over and spend a few moments on necessary housekeeping details so that the show runs smoothly. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, Colin. Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's wonderful to have you here with us. We're really, really excited to have you. We have a fantastic evening that we have prepared for you. I'm Charles Phillips, and I'm very excited to be your host this evening. I'm a supporter of IMET, and I'm also a long-standing trustee of a partner charity of IMET called Firefly International, which also works supporting children in the Middle East. We've got many supporters and familiar faces here who already know about IMET, but for those of you who might be newer to us this evening, IMET stands for International Medical Education Trust, and IMET's a small charity that supports medical initiatives and the training of health workers in Palestine and throughout the world. We have a fantastic evening prepared for you. We've got entertainment, we've got music, we have some very impressive overviews of IMET's recent projects, and it should be a very warm and homely vibe this evening. So please do relax into your seats, get a cup of tea and enjoy. I have a few cue cards on my screen to keep us in check, and I'll be referring to those throughout the evening to provide us with some direction. So one of the first things I want to run through is just a couple of ground rules for using Zoom. Many of us are already very familiar with Zoom, having used it a lot over the last few years, but a couple of things to say. You should all be on mute at the moment, and please do keep yourselves on mute so we can hear the performers throughout the evening. We do, however, have the chat feature, which you can access. If you go to the bottom of your screen, there should be a button that says chat. You can click on that, and you can then send messages of support and say hello to anyone else that you can see on screen. You'll also see we've put a message in there already with our Just Giving link page there. Cameras, please do feel free to keep your cameras on. We'd love to see your reactions to the videos. We'd love to see who else is out there and watching. But do please be aware that if for those who haven't used Zoom before or are new to it, that there is a camera on you, so please don't make the mistake of taking your laptop or phone to the bathroom or get changed in front of the camera or anything like that. But we'd love to see you if you can keep your cameras on. There's two different ways you can view the event this evening. At the moment, I should hopefully be a big box on your screen, but if you want to see more people, if you go to the very top of your screen, on the right-hand side, there should be a small button which says View. If you click on that, there's the option of viewing things in speaker view, and you should currently be seeing things in speaker view. Or if you click on Gallery, it allows you to see things with lots of little boxes, and then you can see more people. It's very much like our events, normally a homemade evening, so we apologize in advance if there are any technical glitches. We've had people making these videos at home from Palestine using mobile phones and so on. We generally have some really high quality videos for you this evening. I'm very excited for you to see them. A couple of them though, the lip sync is slightly out, so just bear with us on that. And there may be one or two videos where you need to slightly turn up or turn down your volume when you listen to them. So please just be aware of that. Another thing to say here is that we have the fantastic supporter Jojo Zaben with us, who is working with the whole team this evening, who's going to be sharing the videos for us. So he's providing all of the technical support behind the scenes. We're really lucky to have him. I just want to give you a quick run through of the program that we have this evening. It's a really whole program with loads of great things. Hopefully you've seen on your emails that Harriet has sent you what we have. But the program has been designed to attract funds this evening, mainly for Gaza and the West Bank. But right at the end of the night, we'll be letting you know about one project that we're supporting in Ukraine. We're first of all going to be hearing from the Palestinian ambassador to the UK, the Palestinian Minister of Health, and the Palestinian Minister of Higher Education and Research. And we're incredibly lucky to have them, some extremely high profile speakers. After we hear from them, we're going to have some music from Palestinian singer Wafa El-Najli and her band from Gaza. That's a fantastic piece I think you're really going to enjoy. We'll then be showing you some project videos from our medical staff in Palestine, and we'll be showing another fantastic video of our Child Mental Health Centre in Gaza. We'll then have entertainment from comedian Jen Brister, We'll be having a short break at about 8 p.m. So there'll be an opportunity for you to go and get a cup of tea, take a quick break. And then we'll come back and we'll have entertainment from comedian Mark Steele. We'll have some more project videos to show you. Colin's going to be speaking to Professor Nick Lane from UCL about the beginnings of life on Earth, the importance of encouraging science in Palestine, and about his support of IMET. We'll then be having a more detailed run through from Colin and Malik on the projects that we're specifically fundraising for this evening. And then finally, we will have a word of support from Baroness Helena Kennedy, a member of the House of Lords, so very, very lucky to have her. We may also possibly have long-standing patron and supporter Mark Thomas appearing with us tonight. He's going to be coming straight off stage at a performance that he's doing, and he might be able to join us on Zoom, so we hope to possibly have him. The final thing I'd like to say is that this is a big fundraising evening tonight, so we would be so grateful for any support that you can give us. Thank you so much to those of you who have already donated. For those of you who can donate and are able to, we would love to have your donations. One of the best ways you can do that is if you go to our Just Giving page, which I will post again in the chat for you now. So this link should pop up for you at the bottom of your screens. If you open the chat function, please do feel free to go to that throughout the evening. If you would like to make a donation and you'd like to allocate it towards a specific project, please do just let Colin or Harriet know by email. That's absolutely possible for us. So that's my bit done for the moment. It's my pleasure to now introduce you to IMET's CEO, Palestinian neurosurgeon, Dr. Malik Zaben. Malik is going to be introducing our first speakers. He'll then be sharing with you some fantastic music and project videos, and you'll then be hearing from me again a bit later on. So Malik, over to you.
Thanks, Charles. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see so many of you with us tonight, our friends and supporters. I hope you enjoy your time with us. I am sure many of you have heard of the shocking and horrifying murder of the renowned Palestinian journalist from Al Jazeera network, Shireen Abu Akleh. Could I ask you please for a minute of silence in her memory and the memory of all other Palestinians targeted and killed in the year 2022. Thank you. Our next speaker is the Palestinian ambassador to the United Kingdom, Dr. Hussam Zumlot. Hussam is a close friend and a strong supporter of IMET2000. He wanted to be with us live as he does all the time. He unfortunately had to fly to Jordan early on today and was crossing the bridge to Jerusalem to attend the funeral of Shireen. He has, however, asked me to give a few words on his behalf. This is what he had to say. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, friends, good evening. It is a pleasure to be addressing you. Sorry I could not be with you live tonight. Allow me first to thank the organizers and the fine people behind IMET2000, Dr. Malik Zaben, Ms. Harriet Paul, Professor Colin Green, and countless others. You do vital and very much appreciated work in many places, none more so than Palestine. Most of IMET's work is in the Middle East, but we should not also forget other areas of interest, including Africa, the Tibet, and also Ukraine. Many are conflict arenas. None, however, has been conflict riddled by quite as long as Palestine. The part of IMET's work that is especially important for us is which focuses on training doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals. It is important for several reasons. In addition to the training itself, there is vital people-to-people contact, and of course, an opportunity for our own medical professionals to go to other parts of the world to train other health staff there. Of course, Palestine offers valuable lessons for the trainers. This is especially true for the fields of child mental health and physical trauma. Sadly, after 74 years of forced exile, imposed refugeehood, and military occupation, the Palestinian people have suffered every trauma you can imagine, not least psychologically. Imagine growing up with little hope for carving out a better life for yourself. And you can begin to understand the situation of many Palestinian children who see only a stalled political situation with little chance of resolution. It is the latter part that is truly dangerous. One can deal with hardships of all kinds as long as there is a reasonable chance that hardship will be overcome down the line. If that chance appears to be fading, the emotional and psychological impact will surely be enormous. We see in Gaza, where I am from, and the words for Dr. Zumlot, how 15 years of a tight blockade has affected a population there, a condition that psychologists famously describe as PTSD without the P. There is an ongoing health emergency. It has been ongoing for decades. It can't be separated from the political crisis. A political crisis that for too long has sat under addressed by the powers that could make a difference. And while the real cure is of course political, one based on justice and equal rights, IMET2000 offers invaluable support to all those medical professionals on the ground who are struggling to keep up even as they keep fighting. Their struggle is your struggle, and for entering the fray, we thank you. We see IMET2000 as a British charity with a global remit, and we are thankful to the British people for their generosity and support. Global support, professional training, and solidarity are keys to a better tomorrow. For helping us there, I thank you, and I thank you for listening. Good night, Hussam Zumlot, the Palestinian ambassador to the UK. Well, that leaves me really to thank Dr. Zumlot for his kind words, and we in IMET2000, and I hope you guys, you colleagues and friends join us in the promise on behalf of all of you to stay on Palestine's side no matter what. Now, it is my utmost pleasure to introduce our guest of honor for the night, Dr. May Al-Khaili, the Palestinian Minister of Health. Dr. May has not been only recognized as an outstanding female physician in Palestine and the Middle East, but also as a highly achieving Minister of Health. I have witnessed this firsthand working with her during the pandemic, as she has successfully captained the ship of the Minister of Health during its most turbulent times. The floor is yours, Dr. May, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you very much, my dear colleague, Dr. Malik, and thank you for all. Dr. Hussam Zumlot, although he's not there, but still we address our ambassador in London, colleague and friend Dr. Malik Zeben, CEO of IMET2000, our friend Professor Colin Green, founder of IMET2000, ladies and gentlemen, friends and supporters, sincere greetings from Palestine. Thank you for your kind invitation to address this great audience, which is honoring me. As you might know, in the beginning, I would like to honor Shireen Abu Akleh Momari, who was murdered with a shot directly to her head by Israeli snipers, while wearing a helmet and a press vest. She gave her full life to defend human rights. She is considered by us the martyr of the truth. May she rest in peace. As you might know, our health system in Palestine is facing a lot of challenges, particularly with the difficulties and limited resources imposed by the Israeli occupation. The corona pandemic has unfortunately complicated and worsened the situation even further. It is at those times when we turn to friends and supporters like you and all the international institutions and UN agencies and countries who are helping and supporting Palestine. And indeed, IMET2000 has been and continue to be a key supporter of our health sector in Palestine. Their work during the pandemic was particularly remarkable as they stepped in right at the beginning, helping us in training doctors and nurses on how to combat COVID-19 infections, and also by providing high pressure oxygen respirators and oxygen generators. Thank you on behalf of the Palestinian people for this support. We appreciate this partnership we have with IMET and its teams in Palestine and are keen on this to continue and prosper. Dear colleagues and friends, looking at the future with the increasing demand, we are seeking more support in training not only doctors and nurses, but also other health providers, as for example, midwives, lab technicians, etc. The needed training stems from empowering our healthcare professionals in many areas, such as basic life support, advanced life trauma support, critical care training, and many other areas. We would also be grateful if you can continue supporting us on training our healthcare professionals in research and methodology, as we are taking this as a top priority in the next couple of years. As well, I would like to mention that for COVID, we have published many research from the primary healthcare perspective. I know that the list of demands and needs are endless, but we rely on your generosity, our friends and supporters. We believe together that we can do it. Thank you all and wish you a successful event. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mai, for your kind words. And we look forward to working together many years to come. I can reassure you that your voice has been heard, and we will do our best to help Palestine and its healthcare system. Now it gives me pleasure to introduce another great friend of IMET2000 and its work in Palestine, the Minister of Higher Education and Research, Professor Abu Muwais, who could not join us live and therefore has left us with this recorded message.
My colleague, Dr. May, Minister of Health, Dr. Hussam Zumlot, our ambassador in London, Dr. Malik Zeben, CEO of IMET2000, Professor Green, founder of IMET2000, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry I could not join you live due to previous work commitments. Allow me, however, to express my utmost pleasure of being with you at your gala event this evening through this recorded message. I'm talking to you not only as the Palestinian Minister of Higher Education and Research, but also as a member of the Councils of Patrons of IMET2000 and as an establishing member of IMET2000 Palestine more than 10 years ago. I'm delighted to see the organization thriving day by day under the leadership of Professor Green and Dr. Zabin. I'm following IMET2000 activities on the ground very closely, and I must tell you, I'm very proud of what has been achieved all along. Palestine, with its healthcare and education systems, forms a unique laboratory for research from which the world can learn a lot, particularly on how to survive under extreme conditions and with limited resources. We have therefore taken it as top priority to encourage research in the country. It has been absolutely a delight for me to open IMET2000 Palestine Health Research Club last year, as we felt this is a step in the right direction. IMET2000 support for this research hub does not go without notice. This has played a fantastic role in boosting health research in Palestine. We are building on this success at the Ministry of Higher Education and Research to roll this model out to other research areas. While we would like to thank IMET2000 for their support, we would like to assure you that we are committed to make their initiatives a great success. Before I finish, I would like to thank you all for your endless support and for standing in support of Palestine. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Abu Muez, for your kind words, and we look forward to working with you and Dr. May in promoting health research in Palestine. Ladies and gentlemen, we in IMET2000 are strong believers of holistic approach to health, wherein healthy bodies need to be nourished with music and art for the well-being of our minds. I am delighted to introduce to you Wafa and her music band from Gaza. Wafa is a nurse by training, but she is an absolute delightful uprising singer from Gaza. Wafa and her band have recorded this fantastic and moving piece of folkloric music and has dedicated this for you, our friends and supporters. So let's enjoy this bit.
Hello everyone, my name is Wafa. I'm a nurse by training and I enjoy singing and music. Today, my team and I are going to sing a few Palestinian folkloric songs from Gaza. We would like to present this work as a gift to you and IMET2000 for the great work they do to help Palestinian children.
جسمي من التجافي نصل وبال عوده كما العازف قطع أوتار عوده يا هاجرين الحي بالله تعودوا مع إن قلب يصبر على الإجران
يا زاريف الطول زرفرف يا زاريف عذابة قلبي يا ابو الخد النظيف من يحب الله يعطيني رغيف يا رغيف الحلو يكفيني سلام
يا زارف الطول يا روحي إلك يا
يا زريف الطول وقفت اقول لك رايح على الغربة وبلادك احسن لك. خايف يا زريف تروح وتتملك وتعشر الغير وتنساني انا.
على ضلعونة وعلى ضلعونة الهوى الشمالي غير اللونة، الهوى الشمالي غير لي حالي، بدي حبيبي اسمر اللونة.
على دلعونا ليش دلعتيني عشان صغير ليش اخدتيني واكتب كتابك عواركتيني واجعل ضلالك حبة زيتونة.
على ضلعونة وعلى ضلعونة الهوى الشمالي غير اللونة، الهوى الشمالي غير لي حالي، بدي حبيبي اسمر اللونة.
يمه ويا يمه وما بدي الشايب قلبه من جور الليالي دايب. الله يقطعك يا الجيل الدايب والبنت بتهجم عالشب هجومه.
وين عرم الله وين عرم الله والفي مسافر وين عرم الله. ما تخاف الله الله ما تخاف الله الله قويت قلبي ما تخاف الله.
وين يا حبيبي وين يا حبيبي طولت الغيبة وين يا حبيبي. حظي ونصيبي حظي ونصيبي ريتك من الله حظي ونصيبي.
وين عرم الله وين عرم الله والفي مسافر وين عرم الله. ما تخاف الله الله ما تخاف الله الله قويت قلبي ما تخاف الله.
عاود يا روحي عاود يا روحي طولت الغيب عاود يا روحي داوي لي جروحي داوي لي جروحي رتك من الله داوي لي جروحي.
يا غزيل يا غزيل أجير عليك تمايلة أجير عليك تمايلة والله لا مايلة وعصدرك لا قايلة وعصدرك لا قايلة.
يا غزيل على القنا واشرب يا ريتو غنى واشرب يا ريتو غنى.
يا غزيل لو مت انا مين يقول لك مرحبا مين يقول لك مرحبا.
يا غزيل يا غزيل أجير عليك تمايلة أجير عليك تمايلة والله لا مايلة وعصدرك لا قايلة وعصدرك لا قايلة.
يا مزين قول له سافر الله يسهل له سافر الله يسهل له. طين العمر كله مزعلنا لحبايبه مزعلنا لحبايبه.
جفراوي يا الربيع جفرا جفراوي يا جوخلة فصلك للحيل صدري.
مريت عن دارهم لحكي ولا اتكلم يا دمع عيني على حيطة ليهم علم. ولعمل ايدي خشب وصبيعي سلم وانزل على دارهم زي الحرامية. مريت عن دارهم عينوا باوني ولحقت حالي العدم ما سالوا عني.
لو طالبوا البدل بدي لي بامي واخواتي الاربعه ابوي رهنيه.
جفراوي يا الربيع جفرا جفراوي يا جوخلة فصلك للحلو صدري.
Thank you very much. My wonderful team, hope you have enjoyed our songs. We look forward to helping Gaza Child Mental Health Center in future. And just to say, please, donate for IMET2000 and towards its noble cause.
Thanks, Wafa, for cheering us up, particularly at those difficult times. Now, I would like to share with you a few messages from IMET2000 scholarship holders, doctors and nurses currently training in subspecialties badly needed in Palestine. All of them have signed up to return to Palestine on completion of their training. Let's listen to their messages.
Ladies and gentlemen, we only rise by lifting others. And thanks to your generous contributions, IMET is currently able to provide about 17 scholarships in various medical specialties. We believe that acts of kindness, no matter how small, are never wasted. And your kind support gives the proof to those who are coming from areas of limited resources that benevolence is sustainable and that goodness only sees the need, not the cause. So, let me, on behalf of all my colleagues, to thank you all for being with us today and promise to be always good representatives of your values in this world. Dear friends, the best way to predict the future is to create it. Today we have 17 grants, or we could say 17 dreams. And with your help, we are looking forward to create 17 promising success stories.
Thank IMET for the great support that they gave me. Without them, I would not be able to apply for Harvard Medical School in their course about how to teach in medicine.
Thank you, IMET, for sponsoring my radiology residency at King Hussein Cancer Center.
My name is Ehab Balawi, a Palestinian medical doctor from Gaza, and currently I'm about to complete the 3rd year of a neurosurgical specialty training in China.
Hello, my name is Maher. I am a nurse. I'm recently graduated from a master's degree in nursing in the community mental health specialty. I want to thank IMET2000 for supporting me in this scholarship, which it's very important field in Palestine to be supported to improve the healthcare system in Palestine regarding mental health. Thank you again for supporting me, IMET2000, and I wish to continue supporting this program to improve the healthcare system quality in Palestine.
Thanks IMET for promoting oncology and palliative care in Palestine.
Thank you, IMET. Thank you, IMET.
Thanks, IMET. Thank you, IMET.
Thanks IMET.
Thanks, IMET.
Thank you, IMET.
Support IMET.
Hope our friends and supporters you enjoyed those messages, and hope these messages have given you an idea of what IMET2000 and its team is trying to do on the way of human capacity building in Palestine. Before I move to the next video, I just want to point out that a message from the Minister of Health that she had to leave us at this point due to another commitment. So I would just extend her apology for not being able to continue with us. Now, moving to the next section of our program. Next, let me introduce you with one of our fantastic flagships in collaboration with other partners such as Firefly and ACT. It is our child mental health project in support of war victims in Gaza. This work would not have been possible without the hard work of Muhammad al-Sharif, our project manager in Gaza, and Dr. Amal Abu Ubada and other colleagues in the team over there, to whom I would like to say thank you very much for your hard work. And let's have a look at what they have been up to.
مرحبا، محمد الشريف من فلسطين، مدير مركز الصحة النفسية للأطفال في غزة. أهلا وسهلا بكم، وأنا سعيد بوجودي معكم في هذا الحدث. تفضلوا معنا على المركز. تفضلوا معي نروح جولة تعريفية عن غزة. نحن الآن نسير في شارع الشاطئ بمدينة غزة. معلومات بسيطة عن قطاع غزة. غزة يقع في المنطقة الجنوبية للسهل الساحلي على البحر الأبيض المتوسط، وهو يقع على شريط ضيق، وتبلغ مساحته من مساحة فلسطين الإجمالية 1.33%، ومساحته 360 كيلو متر مربع. يسكن في هذا القطاع حوالي 2.5 مليون نسمة، منهم 1,023,777 من الأطفال من كلا الجنسين. الآن إحنا في شارع الوحدة، وهذا الشارع وهذا الحي تعرض لأكثر قصفا وعنفا خلال الحرب 2021، مما نتج عنه إصابات بالصدمات النفسية الكبيرة للأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية، حيث سقط في هذا الحي أكثر من 40 شهيد من الأطفال ومن العائلات. وسبب اختيارنا هذا المكان لأنه يقع في هذا الحي المدمر. نحن نعمل مع أطفال ضحايا الحروب في هذا المكان. هذه كلها بيوت سكنية تم التعرض لها بالقصف في الحرب 2021 في شهر مايو، وجميع الأهالي والأطفال اللي نجوا من الحرب تم زيارتهم للمركز بتاعنا واشتغلنا معهم. جاءت فكرة بناء مركز الصحة النفسية للأطفال في غزة من خلال سفري لتدرب على منهجية المعالجة المسرعة للأطفال واختصارها كات في عام 2018. وبعد التشاور مع الشركاء بدعمنا ماليا ولوجستيا وإشرافيا على نقل هذه التجربة وهذه الخبرة للأطفال في قطاع غزة، لأنهم بأمس الحاجة للتدخلات النفسية. نحن نقف الآن في شارع الوحدة بغزة، حيث المكان الذي أشير إليه بيدي اليسرى كان ميلاد برنامج علاج الصدمة النفسية للأطفال في هذا المكان الفارغ الذي كان به برج عامر واسمه برج الجوهرة الذي تم قصفه في حرب 2021. بعد ذلك انتقلنا إلى المكان الجديد في شارع الوحدة في مكان جديد، حيث بدأنا بالتوسع في فريق العمل، وأصبح لدينا 4 أخصائيين نفسيين مع طبيبة نفسية لعلاج لتدخلات نفسية متقدمة لدى الأطفال وذويهم.
تقديم جلسات توعوية وتثقيف للأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية، استقبال الأطفال المحولين من المؤسسات المحلية والدولية عبر نماذج الإحالة من خلال التنسيق والتشبيك معهم، تقديم استشارات نفسية لمقدمي الرعاية وللأطفال داخل المركز وخارجه، تقديم خدمات علاجية نفسية متقدمة مع الأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية مع الطبيبة النفسية لدينا، تقديم خدمة علاج المشاكل السلوكية للأطفال ولمقدمي الرعاية باستخدام المنهج المعرفي السلوكي، تنفيذ أيام ترفيهية مفتوحة مع الأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية، توفير المواصلات ذهابا وإيابا للأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية لتسهيل وصولهم للمركز، توفير الضيافة المستمرة والهدايا للأطفال، استدامة عملية التقييم بعد استشفاء الأطفال ومقدمي الرعاية من خلال الاتصال الهاتفي أو حضورهم للمركز.
Hi everyone, this is Amal Ababada. I spoke to you in the last event on February 2021 while I am a psychiatric resident in King Abdullah University Hospital, and now I speak to you from Gaza as a first female psychiatrist. I would like to thank every one of you for your generous effort to me and my country. I returned to Gaza 7 months ago, and I'm so lucky to work with a group of Gaza Child Mental Health Center, which is sponsored by IMET2000. We are a group of 4 psychologists and 1 psychiatrist, and provide specialized services to traumatized children who were diagnosed as a case of PTSD, and we have a vision to expand our services to include the traumatized and non-traumatized children in future.
I live in Palestine, in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. I used to struggle from anxiety, fear, and nightmares. I used to avoid going upstairs because I saw my brother's bloody corpse laying there. My son Muhammad has been through a traumatic experience. Muhammad's brother was killed here by an Israeli missile during the last war on Gaza. He was 17 years old at the time. who was actually feeding a pigeon before the incident. My children and I started receiving treatment from Mr. Muhammad Al Sharif, who recommended a lot of treatment methods. For example, we started planting flowers and building a small pool. My son Muhammad got very interested in planting flowers and playing on the roof to better change the place where the incident happened. It changed from being a place where his brother was killed to a place where he could have fun. Muhammad has gradually started healing after going to Gaza clinic for trauma therapy. We were very welcomed, felt very safe, and we didn't have to worry about transportation because they paid for it. Mr. Muhammad used CAT treatment, which is an accelerated treatment for trauma to reduce the severity of the trauma that my son was exposed to, and he started to recover slowly. Our message is that we are free as birds. We are free as this balloon. Goodbye and stay safe.
خالد
قديش عمرك؟
11 سنة.
قول لي يا خالد كيف حاسس بعد مشاركتك في فعالية اليوم؟
أنا منيح الأم قبل كنا إيش مع الحرب الأطفال عندنا منضغطين ويعني حسينا بحصار من الاحتلال الصهيوني وما كنا نصوت مش هنعرف إيش نعمل. بعد ما أخذت الجلسات ارتحنا وهنا مبسوطين ويعني راحة نفسية صرنا نطلع وننزل ونروح وين مكان.
اليوم انبسطت؟
اليوم انبسطنا الحمد لله.
شو أكثر حاجة عجبتك؟
إنه كان في فرق حلوة وكنا مبسوطين يعني هنا قاعدين بننبسط أكتر وأكتر.
حاسس بتحسن يعني؟
الحمد لله.
مرحبا.
شو اسمك؟
أنا اسمي فاطمة.
قديش عمرك؟
عمري 12 سنة.
قولي لي شو حاسة بعد مشاركتك بهاي الفعالية؟
أنا قبل كنت أخاف من الحرب كتير، من القصف كتير، ما كنتش أنسى المنظر اللي أنا شفته، أما بعد بطلت أخاف وصرت أصلا نسيته المنظر، مش بحكيهوش لحدا مرات.
هذا بعد مشاركتك في الجلسات
بعد
المركز صح؟ طب واليوم بعد الفعالية شو حاسة؟
اليوم بعد الفعالية في انبساط كتير وتحسن كتير وتقدم كتير.
شكرا يا فطوم.
ويلكم.
Wow. Well, thank you so much to Mohammed and his team in Gaza for putting together that video. I just find the work that Mohammed is doing so inspiring, and all of his team are fantastic. And I know that Mohammed's on the call this evening, and hopefully we'll get a chance when we come to the end of the night, just for everyone to unmute, and then we can say hello to Mohammed as well. I want to also say a shout out to the two other charities that partner with IMET for the project in Gaza, and that's Firefly International and Action for Child Trauma International. I also just want to say, I think that video is just so insightful. I think you hear about Gaza on the news, and for many of us in the UK, it's a place that you hear about, but you're not familiar with on a sort of human level. That's the case for most of us. So I think Mohammed giving a tour of the streets there, and just to really see what things are like, was really, really good. So thank you so much for that video. So now to move on, it is my great pleasure to introduce you to our friend and stand-up comedian Jen Brister to give us some laughs. Jen has performed at benefit charitable events supporting Palestine on a number of occasions, and also she does a lot of work for refugee organisations. You may have seen Jen also perform on BBC's Live at the Apollo, and we're just really lucky to have her here with us tonight. So over to you, Jen.
Oh, thank you so much. Am I here? Can you see me?
Yeah.
Here I am. Wow, my hair looks crazy. It's so lovely to be here. I'm delighted that I was invited. I'm just conscious that we're on Zoom and I'm doing stand-up comedy, and that might feel a little strange to be seeing a stand-up comedian on Zoom. I'm very skilled at this now. I've been doing it for quite some time, since lockdown. And also the thing about Zoom is, what I've realised is I am slightly conscious of the fact that while I'm on Zoom, a lot of the time you're not really looking at my face, are you? Often when you're on Zoom, you're sort of looking at your own face, thinking, what is wrong with my face? I've done it myself. I don't know if you know this, but you can get onto the video settings and you can adjust them. You've got to do it. You get on the video settings, you can adjust it, and you can soft focus your face, which as a woman over the age of 45, I'm very conscious of, and I do regularly. I made the mistake once of maximizing the settings. Then on the Zoom call, I was just 2 nostrils. It looked weird. It looked weird. Don't go too crazy, just a little bit, just to soften the edges. And that, I'm telling you, that's spot on, that's perfect. Here we are. It's wonderful. We're back on Zoom. I am so delighted here in the UK that things have opened up. We're now going back out. I'm also livid. There's a little bit of me that misses lockdown. Now look, don't judge me. Obviously during lockdown, I was like, what is this? This is miserable. I mean, I'm not enjoying this at all. Of course. But now there's a little bit of me that sort of misses it. I mean, I miss Zoom gigs. I do. Not while I was doing them. I thought, what is this? Is this stand-up comedy or just a middle-aged beige lesbian having a breakdown in front of a laptop? But I miss being able to come upstairs, open up my laptop, bam, 10 minutes of dynamic stand-up comedy. Woof, I've made 11 quid. We'll never get that back. That's gone. That's gone forever. Now I've got to go to Aberystwyth. Aberystwyth to do 20 minutes of stand-up comedy. Do you think I want to go to Aberystwyth in Wales? Where I live in Brighton, that's 7.5 hours to get to. I tell you, the last time I went to Aberystwyth, it was October, and I spent the entire week before looking at my NHS app going, God, will you ping for crying out loud? Look, anyway, I've let it go. It's just a conflict that I have as a stand-up comedian. I want to be out there. I so want to be at home. I'm 47. The same thing happened during lockdown. As soon as I couldn't go out, wanted to go out, I would say to my friends, the only way to meet a friend during lockdown was on Zoom, wasn't it? And I would say to my friends, I miss you. I miss you. I want to go out. Let's go drinking. Let's go dancing. Let's live the vida loca like our skin is the colour of mocha. Let's paint the town beige. And then things did open up, didn't they? June 2020, 2021 even. It opened up. And I set a date for my friends and I said, let's do this. And we cemented the date in our diary. Yeah, we did. And then that date loomed. And I hoped, and I prayed that she would cancel. Because I don't want to go. I don't want to leave the house. That might just be me. Okay, fine. I am of that age now where I still have the delusion of youth until I talk to a real life human young person and realise I'm not young anymore. I was talking to a friend of mine, she's in her 20s, and I was trying to explain to her that when I was in my 20s, we weren't doing selfies, you know? Because firstly, we didn't have mobile phones when I was in my 20s. And secondly, she was like, we just had normal cameras, didn't we? And I was saying to her, so yeah, we didn't do selfies. And she was like, but why? And I said, well, because we didn't have mobile phones. She said, yeah, but you can still do a selfie. I was like, mate, how many photographs do you think it takes to get one half decent selfie? Well, for me, it's about 785. Now, back in the 90s, that would have cost you 2.5 grand. Do you know how many trips to Boots that would have been? We didn't have the time. What are you talking about? The thing is, you don't know this when you're young. It's only when you get older, things start to happen to you, okay? There needs to be a support group for women in their 40s about facial, all of a sudden, am I the only I wake up, look, where is the support group for women growing a beard? I've got dark hair, okay? Before I leave the house, I now have to check my chin, okay? Now, I have to check my chin just to make sure it's all okay. And often I do, I'll check it and go, oh yeah, that's absolutely fine. I can legitimately leave the house and feel confident. 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I've got something growing up my face like cheese wire. I'm like, how does it grow that quickly? You know, I think farmers should be using it to grow their crops. I don't know what the hell is going on in there, but we should be monetizing that. I said to my mum, now I have a Spanish mother, very dogmatic woman, very opinionated. And I said to her, Mum, why have you never told me about this whole beard thing? She said, no problem for me, Jennifer. I don't mind. I was like, you don't mind having a goatee? She said, Jennifer, it's no problem. It does not happen to me. I have never worried about it. I said, well, Mum, I'm worrying about it. I don't know what I'm going to do about this. She said to me, Jennifer, don't worry about it. You can bleach it. I was like, what? She said, bleach it. You know, you can bleach this bit of hair here. Go to the chemist, buy some Jolene, okay? and just bleach these. I said, Mum, I can't bleach this. I don't know. I said to my mum, I don't know what look you think I'm going for, but it's not Richard Branson. Anyway, I'm not bleaching it. That's the feedback I'm generally telling you here. I think the main reason I'm so tired and is because I have young children. I've got twins and they are now 7. And don't get me wrong, I adore my sons. I love them very much. I just think that before they were born, people could have given me a bit of a heads up about what to expect, because people are very positive when you tell them you're going to have kids. They're like, oh my God, that is amazing. Woo, woo, woo. So happy for you. It's that, oh my God, you'll get unconditional love. No, yes, but also no. It's a horror show out there as a parent, isn't it? I would have loved one of my friends just to take me to one side and say, listen, Jen, just to give you a heads up here, it's a bit of a horror show, yeah? You're never going to finish a cup of tea or coffee again. You're going to have a poo with the door open. Your sex life is over. Your social life is dead. And if you want to have an ice cream, you're going to have it behind a bin in the garden. That's what I would have liked to hear. Just a little bit of some home truths. Look, I'm not going to moan about them. Obviously, it's boring to hear people moan about the children, particularly as I have already told you, I love them very much. And I have these twin boys. Now, I need to be transparent with you about our family situation. I have my twin boys with my partner. We're not solicitors, okay? We're lesbians. Now, the haircut's a clue. Just to set out my stall, I am the non-biological mum, and my partner, my girlfriend, she is the biological mum, okay? And that is how we refer to each other at home. Like we're boxes of detergent. She's Purcell, I'm Daz. That's just how. Anyway, look, I do understand that the family we've created isn't necessarily what is considered the norm, and I understand that, and people have questions, and I think those questions are very legitimate. One of the questions I got asked the most, particularly when my children were growing up, when they were, even before that, when my partner was pregnant, was this. They said to me, Jen, how did you come to the decision that you were happy to be the non-biological mum, that you didn't want to carry your children? And do you know what? I thought about it for a very long time. But I think the reason why I was happy to be the non-biological mum is because I'm not stupid. Why would I do it when I can get her to do it? That didn't seem to make any sense to me. Anyway, I'll leave you on this. Now, as a lesbian, okay, it's a tricky thing. Obviously, I'm in my late 40s now. I've been out for a very long time, but the hardest thing is to come out. That's the very, very hardest thing you can do. And the person that you don't want to alienate is your mum, okay? And I was absolutely terrified of coming out to my mum. My mum is Spanish and she's Catholic, and I thought, this is going to be a tricky chat. So I remember sitting my mum down, and I said to my mum, look, Mum, there's something important I want to tell you. And my mum said to me, no, Jennifer, no. I know what you're going to tell me, and I don't want to hear it. You've been away, you have been traveling, you have seen things. This I don't need to hear. I said, well, Mum, it's important that you hear it from me, because I definitely don't want you to hear it from anyone else. She said, no, Jennifer. By the way, in Spain, when these people come to our country, we say, no, get out. I said, Mum, you're supposed to love me unconditionally. She said, well, I am sorry, Jennifer, but conditions apply. I said, well, it's really important that you hear this from me. No, Jennifer, by the way, your grandmother does not know these people exist. Your aunt and uncle do not like these people. I don't know, I have to tell them. I said, well, you don't have to tell them. I just need to tell you. She said, no, I don't want to hear this, Jennifer. If I don't want to hear this, I put in my fingers in my nail. I said, for goodness sake, Mother, will you just stop talking and sit down? I'm trying to tell you that I am a lesbian. And my mother, she turned to me and she said, oh, thank God, I thought you were going to tell me you were vegetarian. I just made a lamb stew and I wouldn't have wanted to go to waste. Anyway, folks, this has been an absolute pleasure, and I couldn't support this any more than if I was, I don't know, I literally am just supporting you 100%. And I do hope that you enjoy the rest of this evening. I know you've got a very good friend of mine, Mark Steele, on later. He's an absolute delight. Thank you once again. All the very best to you.
Thank you so much, Jen. Thank you. We really, really enjoyed that. That was very, very funny. And can everyone just give a big round of applause? That was fantastic. I know we're all silently clapping, but lots of laughs and lots of clapping for you there, Jen. Thank you very much. So we're now going to have a quick comfort break, 5 or 6 minutes, where we're going to play some music for you, and it's an opportunity for you to take a little break, get a cup of tea, walk around. And then for the second half, we've got some other fantastic sections to show you. We've got entertainment from Mark Steele, who I think is now on the call, and we'll have Colin interviewing Professor Nick Lane from UCL. We'll have some music from the Gaza Conservatory of Music. That's really, really beautiful. You'll hear from Colin and Malik about the 5 projects we're raising money for this evening. They should also be assisted by Mark Thomas, who's been popping in and out of the call, and he's on stage at the moment right now, so he's just doing a fantastic job trying to be here, trying to be there live where he's performing. Colin's also going to describe briefly what IMET does in Ukraine, and we'll be hearing from Baroness Helena Kennedy as well. So with that, we'll play some music for you, and then please join us in about 5 minutes or so. Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that wonderful music. That was a musician from Gaza, Nadim El Salem, playing the oud for us. So we're very, very nice to have that music. And also I want to say a big, big thank you for the donations that have come in so far. And thanks to all of those of you who have donated to be here this evening and have also provided additional donations. We're really so grateful for your support, and you're going to be hearing more about the specific needs that we have that we're fundraising for this evening. So if you are able to, if you haven't been able to do so far, please do check out our Just Giving page and go and donate. So it's now my pleasure to introduce you to Mark Steele. And I think we have Mark on. I think your name is Mark's phone. And I think I can see you on here. So just to give you a quick introduction to Mark, Mark's a well-known entertainer. Many of you will probably have heard Mark on Radio 4 or seen him on television or read one of his weekly newspaper columns. And in addition to all of that, Mark is a strong human rights activist. So we're so lucky to have him here with us tonight. Over to you, Mark. I think you're unmuted.
Well, I hope you can all hear me. This is the strangest thing, but in a way, this is it's such a cheery time to be doing comedy, isn't it? The world is all sorted, everything's just fine. Who would ever have thought that we would look back on 2020 as the good old days? That's what we seem to be at now. And now you've got a madman now, Trump. Was crazy enough. At least he just wanted to build walls. This guy now invading places, and of course Britain has done the thing it usually does. All the other countries are going, yeah, the immigrants, the Ukrainians, you can come here, never mind the paperwork. But of course the British, no. Even though I can understand that it's a difficult situation that you've just had to flee your country, but you can't come into this country just like that, and there's all like foreign office places set up. Well, you do have to have the correct documentation, don't you? I mean, it really is your responsibility. You should have asked the Russian tank commander before he shelled your house to give you 5 minutes so that you could go and get a gas bill and a bank statement. It really isn't our fault if you got, because that is the British attitude towards immigration. It has been for that never changes. The British attitude to immigration is, I'll tell you what the immigrants do. Listen, right, I'll tell you, right, this is what they do, right? They flee from Africa or one of them, Syria or something, right? And then they walk across like the Middle East, and then they get to the Mediterranean, they climb in a barrel, they float across to Spain, they travel across Europe on the back of a truck in a crate full of piglets. Right, then they clink to the side of an hovercraft, come over here, and then we're supposed to look after these people who aren't prepared to make an effort. That's what happens with your immigration. So that hasn't changed just because the situation is more urgent and more desperate. And now, and I don't know how have we got these people running during the lockdown. How did this happen? The most dangerous time for Britain since the Second World War. And the people running the country in Britain were Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock. How did that? It's like finding an unexploded bomb in your house. So you ring the local council and they send around Paul Gascoigne and a kangaroo. How did that happen? And nobody bothers to listen to Boris Johnson, even the people who voted for him, because they know it's just gibberish with bits of Latin thrown in, and that's all it is. So even when it was the lockdown and the only thing you could have that was like a bit of contact with the outside world that might help you understand was the Prime Minister coming on every day, but it was just nonsense. He just come on every day and go, what we have is a cornucopia of veritas ipso facto modus vivendi coitus interruptus, as it were. In that the rules are quite simple. The maximum number of the maximum number permitted in a room at any one time is 0. So if you find yourself in a room, you must leave immediately. And now there's still people wandering around who don't trust the science of the vaccine. There's loads of these, but all the things to protest about. The biggest thing that people have protested about in Britain the last year has been these people with the placards. Don't trust them. There's no such thing as COVID. It's all made up. Tear up your masks, these people. You can't trust what's in that vaccine, you know. And I've had people say that to me, and I've thought, I've seen you buy a kebab from the side of a van that's by the side of a road at 1 a.m. What? And people who go, oh, no, you can't trust the pharmaceuticals, right? You don't know what's in that stuff, right? And I think I've seen you buy a big bag of dope from the toilet in the corner, which I very much doubt was peer-reviewed in the Lancet. And then you've got those people who go, no, I'll tell you what, right? Listen, right? You don't want to trust that vaccine, right? Because Bill Gates, right? Microsoft, he's putting stuff in there to control your mind, right? That's what he's doing. Little chips in there to control. Now, to be fair to these people, my mum is in her 90s. She was one of the first people to have the vaccine, and she had it, and then she was all right for a couple of hours. But that night, she did go knocking door to door up her street, trying to sell Microsoft Word family packages for £69.99 for the year. So you don't know, do you? Something in it. Now, here is one thing. If you are, as I should imagine many of you are, activists politically, this is what I would suggest you don't do. Don't waste your time online arguing with people. That is just pointless. Online arguing is just people. When the internet was invented, they must have thought, what a marvelous thing. People from around the world could discuss ideas and art and philosophy, and people from Brazil can talk with people from I don't know, from Surrey. Hello, I've been on a carnival today, but I've washed the car again. But instead of that, it's just people angry. Shut up, you shut up. I hate your football team. You talk rubbish. Shut up. Just all it is, just people angry. And there is, on Twitter's the worst. There is no collection of words you could put on Twitter that wouldn't infuriate someone. So you could put, I'm enjoying a delightful sunset across Dorset this evening. And someone would reply, not so delightful if you suffer from sunset aversion Dorset syndrome. Actually, Mark, have a thought for sad sufferers in future, please. When Trump was president, I put something on Twitter where I just mentioned in passing that he was a psychopath. 4 people sent me messages saying, don't add to the stigma against psychopaths. And I thought, there's meant to be a stigma against psychopaths. They're psychopaths. No, they're suffering as well, you know. They've got nowhere to put their salad because their fridge is full of heads. The right-wing people can be crazy, or liberal people, whatever, on Twitter. I don't know. Just like when it was announced that Doctor Who was going to be a woman in Britain, and loads of people online just so angry. It's ridiculous. If you've got a Time Lord with 2 hearts travelling through time and space in a police box fighting Daleks, who's a woman, it's not realistic. I never replied to these people, right? But I did just once, right? That Katie Hopkins woman, and it was coming up to Poppy Day, and she put on there, I called my daughter Poppy, so I'll remember. Will you? And I did reply to her. I put, I agree. That's why I've got 3 kids, and I called them Mud Trench and Mustard Gas. This is I'm sitting in a car, in my car in a car park in Oxford right now, because my partner, the lady, is in the theatre over there, and they couldn't find. And I'm now doubting whether anyone's watching this, and I'm now expecting that someone's going to come up in a minute in some sort of medical equipment and just take me away and say, and I'm going to be going, no, there's thousands of people watching, and they'll say, yes, Mr. Steele, I'm sure there is. Now, if you'd like to come with us, please, and I think if we can give you something to try and calm those nerves. I've no idea. I'm just shouting in a car park. I shall get someone will come up to me with a tin of special brew and think that I'm one of their gang in a minute. Thank you very much. It's been lovely. It's been lovely. Whether I am indeed certifiable or this is going out to some of you, I can. I'd like to be able to show you something beautiful, but it's just a car park in Oxford. Which is, Oxford. There's probably most of Oxford is beautiful, but not the inside of my car. Thank you very much. Could someone come back now?
Thank you so much, Mark, for this lovely performance. Loved it, and really grateful for your time and for giving up your time for us. So thank you so much on behalf of IMET2000, on behalf of my colleagues and all the audience. Thank you. We loved it. That was really fantastic and moving. Right, now let's turn into another chapter of IMET2000 work in Palestine. It's our work in support of saving lives in Palestine. So let's have a look at this video to give you a snapshot of what we have been up to in the last few months.
Hello everyone, I am IMET2000, a nursing continuous education officer working for IMET in Palestine. We are very proud of our achievements saving lives in Palestine. Here, what we have been up to. Hello again. Alongside all this work, we worked really hard to alleviate COVID-19 impact on Palestinians in the West Bank as well as in Gaza. Here is a snapshot of what we have done. Ladies and gentlemen, we have invested a lot in training healthcare professionals with soft skills to create a sustainable, lifelong training program for nurses and doctors. These include, but not limited to, thanks a million for your support, without which we would not have been able to achieve any of this.
Hope this video has given you an idea on what we are trying to achieve on the way of saving lives in Palestine. This work, ladies and gentlemen, would not have been possible without the hard work of our team at the front line in Palestine, especially mentioning Dr. Anis, the founder of our branch in Palestine, Mr. Fadi, our representative over there, Ima and Ala, the two outstanding educational officers over there, in addition to Alia and Hani, our admin team, among others. Thank you so much for your hard work, my colleagues and friends. We have Ilya in the evening. We have shown you what Muhammad and his colleagues are doing in support of child mental health programs in Gaza. Let us now share with you this video to give you a snapshot on what we are doing in this field in West Bank.
Those are wonderful videos. Thanks, Malik, for showing those to us and introducing them. And also a big thanks to the team. They've just done a fantastic job for putting those videos together and showing us those pictures and videos. Really, really nice to see. So next, I would like to introduce Colin and Nick Lane. And Nick is a professor of biochemistry at UCL. And both Colin and Nick have previously worked together, and they're going to have a short discussion about their scientific interests and also the importance of promoting science in Palestine alongside the arts and humanities. And Colin is going to start with a quick introduction of Nick.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm feeling a bit emotional, I'm afraid, so I'm not sure I can do this properly, but have a go. Nick, you'll have to... Nick Lane. It's now my pleasure to introduce Professor Nick Lane, who did his excellent PhD in 1993, nearly 30 years ago, in my laboratory, and has since had a stellar career ever since, publishing many best-selling books on science and evolution, and becoming a world authority on the beginnings of life on planet Earth. He is too a much valued patron of this charity. He's now a professor of evolutionary biochemistry in the Department of Genetics, Evolution and Environment in University College London, UCL. Welcome, Nick. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
If it's okay with you, I just ask you a few questions.
Yeah.
And then let you go for 10 minutes to ramble in a scientific way. And then I really want to get back to the point at the end that it's so important that we support Palestinian scientists now, because there's so much strength in engineering and IT and so on. And of course, in the arts, we've just seen how much is going on in the arts. But I want to really push the scientific endeavors up now as a part of natural history, what I call natural history as a scientist. I wonder if you could tell us a bit about your early start as a scientist and writer of accessible books, and then a brief description about what we know about the beginnings of life billions of years ago.
Well, I loved those questions when I was at school, and I suppose I fell in love with science. And I remember reading books about how we knew how old the Earth was, and questions like that. That I thought, how on earth can we possibly know these kind of questions? I went to university to do biology and chemistry, well, biochemistry, because I liked biology and chemistry, and I was really put off at university. It was so much rote learning and memory work, and it was basically dull. And I've been worried about this almost ever since, because I fear we're doing the same thing to, not just to me, but to whole generations of children, generation after generation, because we don't get across the excitement of what science really is. I did my PhD with you, Colin. I would have left science altogether at that point, but I needed to pay my student debts, and you were kind enough to take me on. I don't know what you saw in me at the time, but I suddenly realized that I loved science again, because you gave me the freedom to think and to ask questions and to explore the possibilities. And these were very applied questions to do with organ transplantation, specifically in my case to do with kidney transplantation, and what on earth happens when you plug a kidney back in again and you reintroduce the blood flow, and the oxygen goes back to the mitochondria, the powerhouses in cells, and then everything goes wrong. Why does it go wrong? And I never really got very close to answering that question. I kind of understood quite well why it was going wrong, but not on earth what to do about it. And long story short, I ended up writing books. And I ended up writing books about oxygen and the kind of the medicine that I'd been thinking about with you. But I wondered, well, where does all this oxygen come from anyway? And what effect did it have on life, on the history of the planet? I knew nothing about any of this. And I managed to get a contract to write a book, which was not an easy thing to do. And it was about oxygen. And I thought, well, I better look into where all this oxygen came from in the first place. And it was extraordinary, because the kind of science that people do, the way that people ask questions about what was in the atmosphere 3 billion years ago, it's so clever. It's just inspiring. And this is what I love about science. This is where it's taught so badly, it's not about what we know, it's about what we don't know. It's about the unknown. It's about the exploration of the world and how we can dream up really ingenious ways of learning things about the history of the planet, about life itself, about everything. And if you're thinking about energy, then I'm now working on the origin of life mostly. And, you think, how on earth can you end up there? But it's really, obviously, energy is important to life. It's kind of a no-brainer that if you you need information in genes and you need energy flow and animation. And yet cells have this really peculiar way of doing it. We have an electrical charge on the membranes inside our cells, which if you shrink yourself down to the size of molecules, then it's the strength of a bolt of lightning. It's equivalent to 30 million volts per meter. And we've got all these mitochondria with this electrical charge like a bolt of lightning. About 4 football pitches of them in our bodies, if you were to kind of iron them all out. And you think, where on earth, how does this kind of thing arise? And they're wonderful questions to ask, and it's a privilege to be asking them. So that's really what I'm doing now, is working on these deep questions about the origins of things.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about what is thought to be known about the beginnings of bringing together proteins into cells, just a tiny bit? And then I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your own research in UCL to reproduce some of these primal conditions essential to creation of living matter, whether it's geological, granite formation, whatever, in which proteins can come together and form cells. Can you tell us a bit about what we know?
Well, nobody can agree about any of this. So it's another of the interesting things about science, is that it is basically a long and hopefully generally a civilized argument. And that we'll come on to why science should be so good for society, and Palestine in particular, in a little while. But let me just say a little bit about the research itself. We can never know what happened. And even if we built a time machine and go back 4 billion years and go to some environment where we think life might have started here, and you see some green slime there or something, well, is that alive, or is it just a green slime, or was it a failed experiment on route to life? Unless you've got some kind of intellectual framework that says this is what we need to be looking for, and this is the right environment, these are the questions we need to ask. And then you realize that it's actually not about trying to understand what happened, because that's a historical question. It's about trying to understand what are the principles that govern the emergence of life from a non-living planet. How does a planet come to life? And it's a series of steps. It's a long continuum, and you can break down those steps and try to think, well, how can I do experiments in the lab that ask about these steps? And for my own case, the guiding light, I suppose, is this electrical charge on membranes. There are geological environments, hydrothermal vents, for example, where you have alkaline fluids going into an acidic ocean, and they're mixing in these vents, and that generates charges on barriers, which are really very similar to the way that cells work. And these charges can make reactions happen. They can make carbon dioxide react with hydrogen to make organic molecules and make amino acids, and then the proteins that you mentioned. So, we're talking about 1,000 steps here, and there's no way we're ever going to do it in the lab. This is something that happened on the Earth, on a whole planet, on a planetary scale, and we can just try to understand bits and pieces of it and do experiments to see, well, does this bit work? Does that bit work? Can we hang this story together? And it's a thrilling and enjoyable thing to do, and where it's also very humbling, because I am personally wrong about almost everything, almost all the time, and it's very good for you to be wrong a lot. And I think scientists learn that, and most scientists are wrong about most things most of the time. And I think perhaps for the public, with COVID and with climate emergency and all kinds of big public science questions, I have the feeling that the public has been quite taken aback sometimes, and a bit put out that experts who are supposed to know things argue with each other and don't agree, and it's very plain that these two people don't see this thing the same way, and so they're all wrong. Well, that kind of throws the baby out with the bathwater. It's not that we don't know anything worth knowing, it's just that the way that science works is a kind of competing ideas that we don't know. We're exploring what we don't know, and we try different ways to get there, and people argue with each other, and hopefully it's done in a civilized way. And if we could get this across in schools, and we could get this across in universities, that science is an adventure, it's a very human story about what we don't know about the world, then I think a lot more people would enjoy it more and participate more. And then that way of thinking, where we need people to worry about how to make the right decisions for the future of the planet or the future of politics or whatever it may be, then with that kind of thinking, we can begin to help people make better judgments for themselves rather than just kind of listen to some populist lunatic ranting.
Right. Following on from what you've just said, as you know, when I was your supervisor, I always said that today's dogma is tomorrow's nonsense. And that's true in virtually everything that I've ever been involved with. So one has to be totally humble as a scientist, otherwise you're going to fail dismally. Many of us do. We never won out. Now, as a patron of IMET, you're well aware of what we do in Palestine in training and in clinical research. So perhaps you could tell us about your ideas for scientific and medical advance in such a unique social laboratory, and the importance of building up the scientific base in Palestine, integrated into the culture of arts and humanities. I loathe this separation of engineering and science and IT from the humanities. They're all integrated, and they've got to, as a medical person, you have to realize that that's the base of the pyramid, is the culture, and everything else is on top of that. Could you just tell a bit about what we know or what we want to do?
Yes. I mean, I'm not sure I have any very specific suggestions for Palestine beyond the importance of science as a human pursuit, and how it can help. I mean, I suppose that science has historically been partly applied and partly pure, and the kind of questions that I have been asking about the origin of life, you could say, is pure science. It's completely is curiosity driven, and it's pointless. It's fundamentally useless to know this kind of thing, except that it's not. It's fundamentally human to want to know where we came from, what made us the way we are, how we relate to each other, and so on. So these are really deeply human questions, and in that sense, science and the arts and the humanities are really very close to each other. Now, applied science necessarily needs to answer questions and do things now and do them well. And I would say a lot of the medicine and science and engineering in Palestine, as much as anywhere in the world, needs to solve immediate and desperate problems. But applied science also feeds from what we know about the world and from what we know about human nature, I suppose, and how do we help? And that is much more the domain of pure science, or just pure human curiosity. And I think one of the things which I was saying before is really important, that we teach that science is about trying to understand the unknown. It's not about taking things from an authority. It's about questioning. And that should be a celebration of differences in the ways of thinking. It embraces all people with all different kinds of ways of thinking. And that is something that builds teamwork, it builds friendships, it builds connections between people, and it's a very human occupation. And I think these are the kind of things that science, and if it's taught well in schools and brought up, then it can really bind communities together. And I think that's perhaps what's the most valuable thing in Palestine, is alongside the arts and the humanities, as you say, this is a way of helping people be proud of who they are and achieve things and do them to the best of their ability.
Thank you very much. I was going to ask you about consciousness, but we've run out of time, and that would
that's a tantalizing end.
Yes, it would be. Look, thanks for all this fascinating information. I know you've just completed your latest book, to be published next Thursday, actually, called Transformer, The Deep Chemistry of Life and Death. And I personally can't wait to read it, because I read all the rest of your books, and they're so accessible to the public. They're written not just to academics, but to the public, and they're very beautifully written. But
Thank
you've
you.
kindly offered 10 signed preview copies tonight to anybody interested. These are open to offers this evening, pre-publication at £25, which is what their value is. And bids for these books can also be made at info@IMET2000.org. But do.
And if you would like to buy one, then I would be delighted to write a personalized message to you in it before it's sent off to you.
Thank you. Anyway, Nick, thank you so much for your contribution to our program this evening. I really enjoyed that. And of course, it takes me back 30 years to argue endlessly. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I see everyone's clapping. Thank you so much, Nick. Thank you, Colin. It was lovely to hear your conversation there, and also to relate it to Palestine and what IMET does, which is very much focused on science and medicine. Thank you again, Nick. I would now like to introduce our next piece of music, and this is from the Gaza Youth Orchestra of the Edward Said National Conservatory of Music. And this is an organization that IMET supports with small grants whenever resources allow. And IMET very much believes that cultural support is an essential component of public health. So I hope you enjoy this music.
Hello, my name is Tala Zimmo from Gaza Music School, which was started in 2008 by Abdul Mohsen Kattan Foundation. And now we're Gaza branch of Edward Said National Conservatory. We're very grateful for your concern, and we're glad to play this song for you.
A wonderful short piece of music there. Really appreciate having that music, and really lovely to see everyone. So I would now like to hand over to Malik and Colin, who together are going to describe the 5 projects that we hope will spark your generosity this evening. They are also hopefully shortly going to be joined by IMET patron and comedian Mark Thomas, who should be finishing his live performance in a couple of moments. So we might have him join as Colin and Malik chat. So over to Colin and Malik.
Thanks, Franz.
Shall I introduce this, or do you want to, Malik?
You go for it, Colin. Yeah,
Okay,
you may want to start. You may want to start by breaking the news.
We'll have to be quick because we're running over time, as usual. This is the most important fundraising event in the year, and is, as usual, devoted almost entirely to Palestine. However, ever since Russia invaded the Ukraine, we've decided to seek funding for 1 project out of 5 for medical aid to the Ukraine. The 5 projects for which we'll be seeking funding evening are on the screen here. I hope you can see that well. So over to you, Malik.
Thank you, Colin. I thought, Colin, I know we've planned it so that I start talking about the projects, but shall we go and break the news to our audience about the big donation we had tonight and the very generous donation?
If the said person
right, well, I'll go for it. I wanted to give you that one, right, Colin, but okay, I'll go for it. Look, we are very grateful for Asfari family, Southern in particular, for making a very big donation towards our projects in Palestine. This is in the size of £10,000 tonight towards our projects in Palestine. This is a massive and big donation to us, and it makes a big difference to what we want to do. So with that big start, I'm going to go and talk about our projects, but very briefly, considering that we are running out of time. Look, we've got 5 projects in total, 4 in Palestine. The ones in Palestine, I start with the first one, which is to do with the neurosurgery. As many of you know, I am a neurosurgeon, but this is not why I am calling for help on that. I am calling for help on this project because this is currently badly needed in Palestine, particularly if you take in consideration the latest events that happened in Jerusalem and the invasion to Al-Aqsa Mosque, when at once, believe it or not, in East Jerusalem, we received more than 200 casualties, and most of these were head injuries. That tells us how much needed this subspecialty is there. And here we're looking to train nurses and theater staff in particular to expand the capacities in Palestine. I'll move on to the next project, which is child mental health. You've seen what Muhammad is presented from Gaza. You've seen a snapshot from the West Bank, and all what I can tell you, the demand is increasing. We all think that the war in Gaza is over. Yes, maybe it's over on the media, but we've got to remember that these kids and their families, they live the memories of this trauma, and therefore they need your help to continue their mental treatment. So please help us to be able to continue. The third project is a project which is slightly different, like from the way we do things, which is more of an infrastructure in a form of an ambulance to the area of Jenin, which has been a focus of trouble in the last few weeks, as you could tell. And the short of ambulances, despite a large catchment area, and adding another ambulance would make a big difference to the capacity of the healthcare system in the region. The last project in Palestine, I'll stop there, is to help us promote clinical research in Palestine. We've listened to Dr. Mai Al-Kaili, the Minister of Health. We've listened to Abu Muwais, and both of them, as you could see, have asked for our help on that. You may think this is a luxury, but it's not. Kid you not, it's not. It is needed because we need to start identifying the problems of the healthcare system in Palestine, but also we need to share those with the other third world countries so that they could learn from our experience of functioning under extreme health. So as you can see, the 4 projects are vital, much needed, and without your support, I'm afraid we will not be able to deliver. So please donate generously, and I'll stop here and hand over to you, Colin.
Thank you, Malik. I just want to say a few words about Ukraine because it's gained massive attention in the public press and the media and so on, and immense sympathy, at the same time as absolute lack of sympathy for the Palestinians over 74 years. And that really bothers me, because I worked in Ukraine for near 40 years, starting at the same time as in Palestine. So we've got a vested interest in IMET in both countries. And we have a great interest in IMET helping our friends and colleagues with specialist medical aid to hospitals. I knew the hospitals well, I know the surgeons who run them, and I just worry that they're now either dead or they're shelled out of the hospitals, or they've had to flee as refugees. And we're helping refugee scientists find opportunities in research institute in the UK, and the salvage of our Institute for Medical Research in Kharkov, which I, as I say, worked in for many years. In particular, we've been asked by the maternity hospitals in several cities to provide portable incubators, which are inflatable. You carry them in a carry bag into the underground, where there are often ladies delivering preterm, and you can blow them up, and they're independent of any hospital power supply and oxygen supply. We've been asked to provide 5 at the moment. Of course, I guess that the need is for 50 at least, but there we are. That's what we've been asked to do with our limited resources. So if any of you are seriously interested in Ukraine, do contact me afterwards, and we can talk about donations if that's something you want to do. But I do ask for some help for that. Thank you. But again, I come back to the fact that most of our concerns in IMET are about the Palestine, in Gaza and the West Bank. That's probably 90% of our work. And the rest of what we do in Africa and India and so on, in Tibet, is not a sideshow, but it provides a canvas for our Palestinian doctors and nurses who should go out and see how other people in third world countries deliver health, and learn from them, and they learn from us. So we're building up a whole scheme of extreme, what I call extreme healthcare, which I think is going to be incredibly important in the future as the landmass shrinks, and we have to really adapt to new conditions on Earth through climate change and environment. So I'm going to end there. Thank you. Yes, I got, I can't get off the screen. Sorry about this. Before I hand over to Charles, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for being with us, and the guest speakers and entertainers who help us as benefits. Many thanks to the Orange Tree Trust, which has given us a big grant today, the Darwazi Foundation, who support us every year for the last, I don't know, 6 or 8 years, and the Peter Barham Trust, and many other charitable donors, too many to list. We have a wonderful, proactive board of trustees and council of patrons. They're not just people sitting on their bottoms around a table occasionally. They actually go out and work in Tibet or in Palestine or in Gaza, wherever they're needed. And they, in fact, Nick Maynard, who you'll meet soon, leads a team of about 14 people every year to go to Gaza and actually carry out surgical procedures or pathology, and actually teach and learn at the same time and interact with the Palestinians and see how they're going. Finally, I want to thank, we also have really great teams. I think Malik has already said this, in Gaza and the West Bank. I mean, they are really courageous and actually work in the front line where most people wouldn't go out during COVID. They were out there teaching people in the hospitals face to face, not just over online. And finally, I want to thank Charles for running this show this evening, to Harriet, who's worked tirelessly to get this annual gala together, and to Jojo, Zabin, and in fact, all the Zabin family for ensuring there are no Zoom technical hitches. So thank you all very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Thanks so much, Colin, and thanks, Malik. Thanks for describing the projects for us, and also for your very kind words. And we've had some really lovely comments in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for your nice messages of support. So the final guest speaker that I'd like to introduce you to is a short message. This is a pre-recorded message from Baroness Helena Kennedy. She's a member of the House of Lords. She's one of Britain's most distinguished lawyers, also the former president of MAP, Medical Aid for Palestinians. And Helena has been an IMET patron for the last 20 years. So we're going to share this short video support. And then I think Mark Thomas has joined the call, and I think we'll then we'll have a few words from him. So let's hear the message from Helena.
I am Helena Kennedy. I'm a member of the House of Lords. I'm a human rights lawyer, and I was for a period the president of Medical Aid for Palestinians, and followed in the footsteps of people like David Steele and Chris Patton and so on. And it's one of those things that passes around the House of Lords. And I did that for a number of years in the late 90s. And then Colin set up IMET2000, and I became one of I think probably the longest serving patron now. I joined him as a supporter of his endeavours because he's a truly wonderful, committed doctor, a wonderful, wonderful man. And you couldn't help but being infected with his commitment and desire to provide healthcare to the Palestinians who are suffering so much. And that commitment, he's a force of nature, and he deserves all of our support. The work of IMET2000 is extraordinary because, of course, he's dealing with the training of healthcare professionals there, helping them progress their skills. One of the things that the project's close to my heart is children's mental health. Because the children in this region, the Palestinian children, have incredible suffering, the consequences of living in a conflict zone and losing members of their family, being so close to death so often. Also the whole business of seeing the fracturing of their families because of loss. And because their social networks get broken up so often. And so, and there are times, of course, when schooling becomes so difficult. So Colin is a saint, he really is. And he has, it's hard to cover all the work that goes on. He set up a Centre for Health Education in Ramallah, and there's e-learning, there's telemedicine, ways in which people can build their healthcare capacity. And we're not just talking about doctors, we're talking about nurses, physiotherapists, people who are specialists in the whole range of the skills that are needed, and of course psychologists and the few psychiatrists that there are there who help people with mental health problems. COVID has been really hard for the Palestinian people because, of course, containing infection has been so difficult, and so there have been many losses of elderly people, just as here, but with tragic consequences, of course. And he has just been a source of support to them. Now IMET does work in other parts of the world too, and I'm glad to support that as well. Healthcare is a human right. I'm a human rights lawyer. I'm a member of the House of Lords, and I raise human rights issues. And the human rights, one of the most fundamental of human rights, is the right to healthcare. And Colin is there doing this. That's why he deserves our support, and why we need to find our deep pockets and help him to do the great work he does.
Well, we're really lucky to have had that message there from Helena. Thank you so much to her for having recorded that. So we're coming to the end of our evening, but I know that Mark Thomas has joined the call, and I think this would be an opportunity for Mark to say a couple of words, and I think Colin, I'll unmute you as well, and Malik, and maybe we can spotlight the three of you. But yeah, welcome, Mark. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you, first of all, for having me, and hello to everyone. And I'm halfway, it looks like I'm in a toilet. I've just seen the picture that looks like I'm actually in a railway station toilet. I'm actually at a gig. This is what the dressing rooms look like. I know that you think it's full of hot tubs and kind of like the trays of cocaine, but it's just not. It's a cup of coffee, that's it, and this beautiful decor and a faint smell of Dettol which lingers through the air. Which will obviously indicate that I'm in a council building or in my mum's house. And some of you may know that I've been looking after my mum, who's 86. I looked after her during lockdown, and she is just that she can't go anywhere unless she smells Dettol. If you were active, if you're a kid during World War II, then basically it's catnip for you is Dettol. That will send you. Sorry, I'm sort of rabbiting on a little bit. I've gone off on a tangent. And hello, Colin. How are you?
I'm
Hello,
all right,
Alan.
mate.
Lovely
Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. It's in the middle of your interval period.
Yeah, it's
Is
the
show going all right?
Yeah, it's all right. It's lovely. We've had a couple of good hecklers, and we've found one Keir Starmer supporter, which is really unusual. Normally, there's none at all. Normally, because you shout, "Are there any Keir Starmer supporters?"
You have a very odd audience.
Pardon?
You must have a very odd audience to find one person.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think basically they wandered in by mistake. So anyway, yes. So have you had a nice evening?
We've enjoyed it enormously. I hope the audience have. We've had some lovely music, and Mark Steele and Jen Bristol were very good. You recommended them and gained them for us, which is very good of you. But they were terrific. Yes, I enjoyed it.
Don't say it's very good of me. I don't say it's very good of me. I basically applied some small amount of emotional blackmail, and they did the work.
And I followed on with the blackmail.
No, but look, this is the important bit, and I don't know if anyone's mentioned. I'm sure people have, but today, of all days, I think shows the need more than ever for medical interventions and support on the ground. Right, especially in Palestine, when we have seen the funeral of a journalist attacked, and you just think how insane, how shameless to have killed this woman who's doing her job, to then blame Palestinians and say, well, they were caught up in a gunfight and she was targeted. And then the funeral was targeted. It wasn't accidental that the police just attacked a funeral. You don't attack a funeral accidentally. The contempt that is shown for human life, for reporting, and for any sense of human rights, and for trying to get the message out and create greater awareness and support in the world. These are things that actually the Israeli apartheid authorities are terrified of. And I think today's events have underlined why, more than ever, people should be supporting the work that IMET does.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's very kind of you.
And so much, I would just add to that this person was deliberately targeted to be killed, no question. But hundreds of other Palestinians since Christmas have been deliberately targeted and killed in Gaza and in the West Bank. It is an everyday occurrence. It doesn't appear in our papers at all, not once. Hardly ever anything, even in The Guardian, or perhaps least in The Guardian, does anybody protest about it and have some. We should be ashamed of ourselves as human beings, letting this go on like this. It's a stain on our humanity, and it's bloody disgusting, if I may say so. I said I was feeling emotional.
Colin, I want to give Nick Maynard an opportunity to say a final word, because we are running a bit over and we need to start wrapping things up. So so Nick is the chair of the IMET Board of Trustees, and he's going to say a few words for us before we have some final music to play the evening out. And once we've then heard the final music, I'll actually unmute everyone and we can you can say a quick hello, and I'm sure we'll hear more from Colin and Malik as well. So over to you, Nick.
Thank you very much, Charles. Well, what a fantastic evening we've had. And as you've heard, for such a really wonderful cause. As Charles says, I'm the chairman of trustees of IMET, and I'd just like to say a couple of words on behalf of our trustees. You will all know that the role of the trustees of any charity is to provide oversight of the charity, and I guess we're responsible in a way for making sure it's doing what it's meant to do. Well, that's not really an issue for IMET, as you can tell. And most of the time, the trustees, we're all simply sitting back and watching in awe at what Colin, Malik and Harriet do for IMET2000. It's personally, and I know for all the other trustees, it's a huge privilege to be involved with this unique charity, which does so much, not, as we've heard in Palestine predominantly, but also in Ukraine, Africa and Asia. Colin mentioned this briefly. If you look at the list of trustees, you'll see that every single one of them is a doer, that they're all involved in the activities of IMET and travel regularly, whether it's to Palestine, whether it's the West Bank or Gaza, Africa, UK, Ukraine and Asia. And I go to Gaza every year, and they really have become the highlight of my year. I loved the music we heard tonight. I particularly loved the music of Wafa and her band, and the pictures of Gaza or downtown Gaza Harbour I thought were fantastic, and I can certainly vouch for what a buzzing place that is at weekends. Just a couple of thank yous. As always, Charles Phillips, who's our compere for the evening, has run the evening brilliantly and done his very best to keep everyone to time. So let's have a clap for him, absolutely. Just the three key people in IMET, I want to say a bit about them because they're all fantastic. Malik, we've heard about, who's the Chief Executive Officer of IMET. He's a full-time neurosurgeon in Cardiff, and I'm a surgeon myself, so I have absolutely no idea how he managed to do that job and what seems to me a full-time job working for IMET. So he's a hero. Harriet, of course, Harriet Paul is our Director of Corporate Developments and Events, and she organises these events fantastically. So thank you also to Harriet, and let's have a round of applause for Harriet. And last, but clearly the true hero, Colin Green, who's the founder of IMET, the Director of Overseas Development and Treasurer, and quite simply an inspiration to all of us. And IMET simply wouldn't exist without Colin. So again, the biggest round of applause of all for Colin Green, our hero tonight. So a very final thank you to all of you who've joined us tonight, 70 plus, I think, for digging deep, I hope already, into your pockets to give money to IMET. And if you haven't, it's certainly not too late to dig even deeper and get more money out. So thank you very much. And thank you for joining us for a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Nick, for those very kind words. And yes, also thank you so much to everyone for being here. We've had some really fantastic speakers and entertainers, and I do hope that you have really enjoyed hearing more about IMET's latest projects. We will be putting the recording up on YouTube in the coming days, so that's an opportunity for you to re-watch any of the parts that you really enjoyed, or to send that on to anyone else who you think would really appreciate seeing the evening. So final words that I need to let you know are donations. As Nick said, we would be so grateful for your continued donations. Thank you so much for everyone who has donated. I'm just going to put the Just Giving link in the chat one more time, and that's an opportunity for you to go and check out that webpage. And once again, if you do have something that you'd like to donate to specifically, then just email Harriet at info@imet2000.org. You can also contact her from the joining email that you were sent. So to finish things off, we'd like to leave you with this final piece of music. This is music once again from the Gaza Conservatory of Music. I hope you very much enjoy, and thank you all very much for being here. Good night.